Alright, let's talk about it. Some of the most evil, heinous, downright diabolical villains in anime weren't actually wrong. They weren't chasing chaos, they weren't insane, they were trying to fix broken worlds the only way they knew how. And if you really look at their stories, you start to realize something really uncomfortable. The heroes didn't always have the better solution. Because what if I told you, some of these villains only became evil because the world gave them no other choice? Today we're going to be breaking down 5 anime villains who were actually right. And by the end of this video, you might start questioning who the real villains were all along. Number 5. Itachi Uchiha. Now, Itachi's where things get a little complicated, because calling him a villain almost feels wrong. His clan was planning a civil war that would have destroyed the entire Hidden Leaf village, and the leaders gave him 2 choices. Let the war happen and risk thousands of lives, or eliminate his clan and stop it before it begins. Now, in this scenario, you would think he would side with his family, but to understand why Itachi didn't, you have to understand the way he grew up. At just the age of 4 years old, Itachi was taken to a battlefield. While other children were still playing, he was forced to witness the true cost of war. Not stories, not rumors. He saw it with his own eyes. And in that moment, Itachi realized something most people never do. That being a ninja wasn't about glory. It was about suffering. While others admired strength, Itachi began to fear what it led to. Because war wasn't heroic. It was just some endless cycle of hatred and loss.
Mizu!
なんでこの忍び屋を殺そうとしたの？
戦争だからだ。
戦争？そういうものなの？
それが死の世界だ。この光景を忘れるのよ。
That experience stayed with him as he grew older. Even after joining the Anbu and seeing how the village operated in the shadows, that experience stuck with him. So when his clan began planning a rebellion, Itachi didn't see justice. He saw another war. And after everything he had witnessed, that was the one thing he was determined to stop. The Uchiha clan wasn't just any family. They were one of the most powerful clans in the Hidden Leaf village. Descendants of the legendary Uchiha bloodline. They possessed the Sharingan, a power feared across the entire ninja world. But despite their strength, they were never fully trusted by the higher-ups in the Leaf village. After the Ninetales attack, the Leaf leadership began to isolate the Uchiha, pushing them to the edge of the village and placing them under constant surveillance. That tension slowly turned into resentment and eventually, plans for a civil war. He sacrificed everything. His family, his name, his reputation, even his relationship with his brother. Itachi made himself the villain in Sasuke's story. He wanted Sasuke to grow stronger, to have a purpose, and eventually become the hero who avenged their family. Itachi let the world believe he was a monster. That's what makes him so different. He didn't just do evil things. He accepted being hated forever to protect peace. So, was he wrong? Or was he the only one willing to do what no one else could? Number 4. Some villains are born evil, but Shigaraki wasn't one of them. He was created. Before he became Shigaraki, he was just a child named Tenko, a kid who wanted to be a hero, but inside his own home, he was abused. His father hated heroes and took that anger out on him, and no one saved him. Then, one day, everything went wrong. His quirk awakened and he lost control. In a moment of fear and panic, he destroyed his entire family, and just like that, he was alone. In that moment, Tenko needed a hero, but none arrived. Not only did the people he'd look up to the most let him down, the system let him down. Being a hero in society became somewhat of a popularity contest. The higher your rank, the more fame, money, and attention you got. So naturally, that's what many heroes started chasing. Popularity over purpose, and image over impact. Saving people wasn't always the goal anymore. Being seen saving people was. And that created a dangerous system. So when Shigaraki looks at hero society, he doesn't just see hypocrisy. He sees abandonment. A world that praises heroes, but couldn't save a single child standing right there in front of them. And maybe that's what makes his story so uncomfortable. Because deep down, he's not just a villain. He's proof of what happens when no one shows up. Number 3.
Not here. We should do this somewhere else. I believe a change of venue would benefit you two as well.
Now, Meruem started as a king who believed in one thing: power determines value. The strong rule and the weak serve. Simple, brutal, and logical. But then he met Komugi, and everything changed. For the first time ever, Meruem encountered someone weak who still had value. Someone who didn't fear him, didn't hate him, just existed with purpose. And slowly, he began to question everything he believed in.
Are you fighting me for all of humanity? If so, then you should know that my actions are entirely for their benefit.
What does it mean to be human? What gives life value? By the end of his story, Meruem wasn't a monster anymore. He became something deeper, someone capable of empathy, reflection, and even love.
In human society, lands are split by borders marking their territory. On the right side of the border, children may starve to death, while on the left, idle dregs who do nothing have everything they need. I shall crush that madness and create a fair world where the concept of inequality will be completely forgotten for all time. To protect the weak who deserve to live. That is its purpose. Power shouldn't be used to torment the defeated.
Meruem's ideology on using power to protect the weak was honestly what made his character so powerful. He proves that even the worst villains aren't born evil, they evolve. Number 2.
Attention, entire world! Hear my proclamation! I am Lelouch Britannia, Emperor of the Holy Britannian Empire and your only ruler!
Lelouch, the villain the world needed. He didn't just fight a corrupt system, he became the very thing he hated to destroy it. In his world, justice didn't exist. The strong ruled, the weak were oppressed, and entire nations were stripped of their identity, reduced to nothing more than numbers. His mother was murdered, his sister was left powerless, and the entire empire that was responsible kept moving forward like nothing happened. That's when Lelouch realized something most people never do. The world wasn't broken by accident, it was designed that way. So he made a decision. If the world was built on oppression, then the only way to fix it was to tear it down. With the power of the Geass, Lelouch didn't just fight back, he took control. He became Zero, a symbol, a revolutionary. But revolutions aren't always clean. Lelouch lied, manipulated, and sacrificed people. Not because he didn't care, but because he believed the end would justify it. And that's where he becomes dangerous. Because Lelouch understood something terrifying. People don't unite through peace, they unite against a common enemy. So he did the unthinkable. He made himself that enemy. The villain the entire world would hate. Because if everyone hated him, they would finally stop fighting each other. And when the time came, he didn't resist. He let himself be killed. Not as a hero, but as a villain who brought the world together. That was Lelouch's plan all along, to carry the hatred of the entire world so no one else had to. So was Lelouch wrong, or was he the only one willing to become a monster for the sake of peace? Number 1.
My pain is still far greater than yours!
Pain is one of the most interesting villains in Naruto, and dare I say, in all of anime. He wanted people to understand pain because in his world, peace was just an illusion between wars. He grew up surrounded by death. His parents were killed, his friend died, all fighting for a better future. And every time peace seemed close, it was ripped away.
You asked me why I'm doing all this. But even if I told you why, I doubt very strongly that the knowledge would change anything at all. We're both just ordinary men driven to seek vengeance in the name of justice. Everyone feels the same pain when losing something dear. You strive for your justice, and I strive for mine.
Pain came to a brutal conclusion. People would never understand each other until they suffer the same way. That's why his plan wasn't to stop war, it was to control it. To create a weapon so devastating that the entire world would be too afraid to fight again. So Pain decided to take justice into his own hands. And what did he do in pursuit of his goals?
神羅転生
Well, he decided to destroy the entire Hidden Leaf Village and kill thousands of people. Now, I know, a little drastic, but he had his reasons.
After all of the horrible things that you've done, don't you dare talk about peace and justice!
Then tell me, what is your goal?
First, I'm gonna kill you! And then, I'm gonna bring peace to the ninja world!
Oh, I see. That is noble of you. That would be justice. However, what about my family? My friends? My village? They suffer the same fate as this village at the hands of you Hidden Leaf Ninja. How is it fair to let only you people preach about peace and justice?
Pain's hatred for the Leaf Village didn't come out of nowhere. It was built through years of loss. As a child, Nagato lived in a war zone, a place constantly destroyed by conflicts between larger nations like the Leaf Village. One day, Leaf Shinobi entered his home and killed his parents, mistaking them for enemies. In that moment, Nagato learned something that would shape his entire life, that even heroes can destroy innocent people. But that wasn't the end of it. As he grew older, the war never stopped, and the people he cared about kept dying, until eventually he lost Yahiko, one of his closest friends and someone who truly believed peace was possible. That loss broke him, because to Nagato, it proved that peace was just a lie repeated by the same nations causing the suffering. And that's why he turned against the Leaf, not out of hatred, but because he believed they were a part of the system that would never change. And while the weapon he chose to use was fear, history kinda supports his idea. In the real world, the existence of nuclear weapons has prevented large-scale wars because the cost is too high. Pain believed fear could create peace, and for that moment, it almost sounded reasonable. But here's where it breaks. Pain was willing to kill innocent people, just to prove a point. He didn't just want peace, he wanted the world to suffer first. So was he right? Or did he become the very thing he hated? The truth is, the best anime villains aren't evil, they're reflections of broken systems. Itachi showed us the cost of peace and what it really means to sacrifice everything for it. Shigaraki exposed the hero society that failed the people it was meant to protect, creating the very villains it fights against. Meruem questioned what it means to be human and whether power truly defines value. Lelouch proved that sometimes the only way to unite the world is to become its enemy. And Pain showed us a world trapped in endless war, where suffering is the only thing people truly understand. Now, don't get me wrong, they weren't right about everything, but they weren't completely wrong either. And maybe that's what makes them so unforgettable, because they don't just challenge the heroes, they challenge us. Because if we were in their world, if you lived their life, felt their pain, would you still choose to be a hero? Or would you become the very villains we talk about today? Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you like and subscribe. It really helps the channel grow. And let me know in the comments, which villain do you think was right?